Cowboys, whether as head coach or in another capacity. That's where I was until West Coast time late last night when the other tweet dropped, and it was breaking news. And I'm hoping that the news will stay broken because there's still always that chance that Jerry would wake up today and read the headlines and say, I'm going to go back to Jason, because there's still been no official announcement from the Dallas Cowboys. So let's cover our base on that one, because you never know with this guy, because I never knew that he would drag this out all the way to Thursday night. I don't get it. And yet the quote from Ed Werder in his, when the bombshell dropped, was that Jerry and Steven wanted to treat Jason with an abundance of care and respect. Well, why would you let him twist in the wind all week? Why would you keep talking to him when clearly everybody was reporting it's a foregone conclusion? He's gone. So why would you have... You build a man hopes up thinking he can keep his job. And there were quotes yesterday from players about their exit interviews in which they were stunned to hear Jason Garrett talk in the future tense as if he were going to be the head coach. That all the exit interviews were, next year we're going to... Right? Yes. It wasn't thank you, goodbye. It was, hey, let's get better. Because you remember, hold on. You saw the NFL Films part where Gary Brown was on the sideline talking to the running backs. He said, now, if they get rid of me, I want you to know, guys, to know I look at you guys as my son. I appreciate everything. So he was resigned to the fact that there's a very good chance that I'm not going to be here. But Jason Garrett was talking, I'm good. Okay. So if I can accept that this is the end, finally, of Jason Garrett, I want to congratulate Jerry Jones for finally reaching down and having the guts, and it did take some guts, to cut ties with his son, Jason Garrett, and finally leave that 8-8 comfort zone that Jason was so great at creating, because we all know Jerry was so comfortable with Jason. He's so easy to work with. I know Jason from the days I covered him as the backup quarterback. You've been around him a little bit to know. He's very personable. He is. But he's not charismatic. And there's a big difference between personable and easy to get along with and dynamic, right? Yes. He's not dynamic. He's just a really good guy. Right. He can really talk a good game. He can talk football. Right. Remember, his father was a longtime coach in this league, a longtime scout for the Cowboys. He's got two brothers who have been in college and pro football at various levels. He came from a football family. Jerry Jones considers him a little bit like Cowboy royalty, like he had a legacy that you don't disrespect. You keep it in place because, by golly, it'll break through at some point. But Jason Garrett was always just good enough to keep. That is an indictment for the coach of America's team. Just good enough to keep. To me, it reminded me last night of these commercials we see almost relentlessly from AT&T, and they're really good because they're so funny. Just okay is not okay. Good. Well, could Jason Garrett and Jerry star in the next Just Okay is not okay? Because it's just okay. He was always just okay. He's not a bad coach. He's just not a good coach. But see, Skip, you and a lot of people are falling into the trap that the Cowboys is this New England Patriots. And they're not. They're just another team. They're just another team that happen to be America's team. But, Skip, they don't win. They haven't won. Time out. Do you realize that as we speak, no team in the National Football League has as many Pro Bowl players as my Cowboys do? They have 15 on the roster. These are players who have been Pro Bowl players. 15. Nobody has 15. So what happened last year? They had the highest point differential of any team in NFL history that went 8-8. So you could see lots of explosion because they were #1 in yards gained last year, right? Well, second only to the 1989 Cincinnati Bengals, who had just lost the Super Bowl to San Francisco the year before. And you say, well, wait a second. 80. Well, I mean, but it was 89, right? 88, see the 89, you're right. So you have a quarterback who finished top 5 in QBR, and top 5 in passing yards. Top 5 in passing yards. And you have the 5th highest number of wins, 7, in NFL history, in which you had you scored 30-plus points with 400 yards passing, or 400 total yards, not yards passing, and won by 10 points. There are only a handful of teams that have done better than that. So obviously they had an explosive offense, and yet, what did we see? We saw them come out flat and lifeless at New Orleans and against Green Bay, and then at the Jets, and certainly at Philly. The Eagles were just far readier to play at kickoff than my Cowboys were. Right. Well, there was a spark missing. There was some electricity missing from this team because it was soft mentally and physically. I'm sorry, it just comes down to this same head coach who missed the playoffs 6 of his 9 years. And there were blips, but they were explicable blips because they did break through and win the division in 14 and 16 and 18. But why? Because DeMarco Murray sort of fell out of the sky and led the league in rushing. And then Dak fell out of the sky right in their laps and won Offensive Rookie of the Year as a 4th-round draft choice.
But Skip, but was Jason Garrett the head coach when they won these 7 games with 400 yards and 30 points and win by +10? Was he the head coach?
Yeah, but you're looking at the glass as half full. It's half empty because there was always something missing because that was only 8 wins or 7 of those wins. One was at Detroit, which could have been in that category. So when they won, they really won. And when they lost, it was inexplicably flat and lifeless. And it all comes back to the head coach. I'm sorry, he has the 2nd most 8-8 finishes in NFL history to Jeff Fisher, who coached
a lot longer.
11 more years than he did. 11 more years, and you're second to him at 8-8? What do I always tell you? Jason Garrett's middle name has been 8-8. He's 8-8 Garrett. And you step back and you say, what happened? How did they win these games that they won this year? Well, I always told you, they needed external motivation. They needed Doug Peterson to turn into Dougie Prediction and guarantee that they were going to go down to Dallas and kick their tails on a Sunday night, right?
Right.
And what happened? My team got inspired by that. It wasn't by their coach, it was by the rival coach, and they won 37-10 and looked like a Super Bowl team. I picked them to get to the Super Bowl this year, and I was wrong because there was always something bafflingly missing. Then what happened against the Rams? They had to hear all week that a point spread had plunged historically from 3.5 they were favored by to Rams favored by 2 with no quarterback injury involved. That was unprecedented. And you say, what happened? And the Cowboys said, okay, well, watch this. We'll show you what a bad team we are. And they went out and did a number on the Rams, scoring 40 points.
44.
Yeah. They scored 44 points and held them to 21, but it was 31-7 after 3 quarters, and they look like a Super Bowl team. And those are my 2 highlights for you, which is why Jason Garrett should have been gone a long time ago.
When you look at it, it's because the inflated views of the Cowboys. Stephen and Jerry Jones says this is the most talented roster we've had since those Super Bowls.
Well, it was.
Who says? But you're basing on Skip. You got to win. You know, everybody keeps saying, well, this is the great, hold on, what are we comparing it to? They had won nothing. Skip, since '96, only 3 teams in the NFC have not been to an NFC title game. Dallas is one of them. We're not talking about Detroit. Oh, Detroit underachieved. We're not talking about Washington underachieved. But we're talking about the Cowboys have underachieved. Why? Because they're the Cowboys. They're so marketable. I think if I'm not mistaken, 3 of the top 5 games involve the Cowboys. That's what everything is based on. Not that they
TV
win.
Ratings.
TV ratings. Not that they win, Skip. They haven't won in a very long time. But it's because of you and fans like you that believe that the Cowboys are entitled to something. Skip, for me, this is why I never really held Jason that much accountable, because he never got credit when they won the division. Oh, see, even you, Skip, said Dak fell out the sky. Even DeMarco Murray.
I told you I always told you this from the start, and this is not 20/20 hindsight. They won in spite of him.
Well, why can't they? Why did they lose in spite of him?
Well, they did. What do you mean?
But I'm saying they won in spite of him, but they lost because of him. How?
He inspired no fear in that locker room. They were not afraid to lose. Nobody was afraid to lose their job.
That's Jerry. Jerry stripped him of that power.
I don't think so in this case. I think in the end, Jason's just not that guy. He's not he doesn't have a volatile personality. He's steady Eddie. He's always in a good mood. And he created a comfort zone not only for Jerry, but for the locker room. And when it's going good, it's just fine. They'll just play right on through it. But when they need somebody to light their fire, he was incapable of lighting their fire. He just kept doing the same thing over and over. They had tuned him out. You know, and I know, his pregame speeches just spilled over with cliches and platitudes. And after a while, it's just pure vanilla. He comes across as just pure plastic to me. He's a zero as a motivator.
I can't argue with that. But for me, Skip, when playing in Denver, and not just base it on that, there's nothing that we did that I didn't think that this was Mike's doing. That, Mr. Bolin might have had something to do with this. But when the players, are we practicing at this time, is this Jason's decision, or Jerry said this? This move, was this Jason's decision, or was it everything that happened? There was no question in my mind. Oh, this is what we're having today? Oh, Mike wanted this. Oh, this is what time we're leaving? Oh, Mike wanted to leave it this time. Oh, we're having practice at this? Oh, this is what we want. No, that's not it in Dallas. When Christmas, that's when Mike wanted, look, we put it to a vote. Okay, you want to have, you want to wake up with the kids and open present, or you want to have practice, really whatever John wanted to do, whatever John wanted to do with the kids, that's what we were going to do. I was fine because I was by myself anyway. But that being said, Skip, at some point in time, okay, Jason Garrett, if the report, what Aaron Ward is reporting is true, is gone. At some point, Skip, he's going to have to allow the coach to be the coach. He's going to have to allow the coach to have the power. And the players know he has the power. Because if the players feel that they can circumvent the coach and go to Jerry or voice a concern with Jerry, you're back in the same situation again. And that's why Troy keeps reiterating. See, Skip, Troy was there for Jimmy. He was there for Barry. He was there for Dave Campo.